Okay, so we left episode 3. I think we left you hanging in suspense when we talked about that lessons from a 100-year-old toy. So, Peter, get us going.
Okay. So what we've explored so far in this series is why technology hasn't paid off, the need to modernize for your organization, and the power of integration. And today we look forward, because what we said in our last episode is change is relentless. You have to adapt to change. Your business systems have to have flexibility and agility so they can change easily to how the world changes around them.
Because ultimately, I think the future is coming fast. You know, there's a classic line, the future is now, but the future is certainly coming fast. There's so much tech coming at us. There's so many different approaches and expectations coming at us. You've got AI, you've got regulation associated with that. You've got shifting customer expectations, shifting employee expectations. And ultimately, if your systems and your thinking can't adapt, or if you like, are not actually future ready, we really will fall behind.
But Matt, isn't there a contradiction in terms here? On the one scale, you want a business environment with systems that are solid, they work, they're connected together. There's actually a coherence within them, but you also want the ability to pivot to something completely new without having to break what you've got already. So how can you have that agility, but also that integration?
Now, I'm going to hold you to account here, Peter, because I'm going to pause you there and just say, all right, I know there's a story coming here, but you promised our listeners a 100-year-old toy. So where's this all coming from, Peter?
Well, Matt, I have to take you to Denmark. And
I'll go to Denmark any day, Peter.
Well,
okay.
There's a lot worse places in the world you can go than Denmark. And I need to take you back to a carpenter in the 1930s. And he created a toy that is universal today.
Pinocchio?
No, that's Italy. You've got with this toy, children around the world use this toy. And that toy is what's known as Lego. And I want you to think about Lego as a toy. Think of its simplicity. It's little building blocks that you connect together. At the bottom of each building block is an interface which connects one block to another block. So it's simple. It's flexible. It's modular. You can build. And you think today there's Lego World where you'll see castles and spaceships and cities, and they're all built with that simple block.
So what are we saying here, Peter? So do we need to have workshops for technology leadership teams and CEOs and boards where they all get together around boxes of Lego and really figure out how to integrate effectively? Because ultimately, this is tongue-in-cheek, of course, but this is the mindset we need in technology and IT today, particularly coming back to that integration challenge we talk about. We need to build systems that are modular, that integrate, but aren't locked in, right? So we can easily, if you like, take them apart, put them back together again, and evolve as we need to.
And it's important because I would want to take CEOs for a day trip to Lego World, because I think they would be amazed how little blocks can build amazing things together. But here's the paradox, Matt. We want a world where you've got structure, you've got form, so you've got some sort of something that's coherent, but you also want flexibility. You want the ability to adapt that thing easily as change is thrown at you. You want things as integrated, so the data flows between one system and the other. But you also want agility, so you can evolve to what's required.
Exactly, Peter. We need to be rigid in our standards, but flexible in implementation. Consider defining clear APIs, clean data models, but allow for new tools and channels so we're not held totally locked down.
Matt, our switchboard is just lighting up with phone calls coming in saying, I want that $50 from Matt Boon. What is an API, Matt?
Okay. All right, Peter, I'll take your $50 that you lost a couple of episodes ago. You explain an API to the team.
Well, okay, API is called an application programming interface. And it's basically a software product which has a set of standards which connects one product with that standards with another product with that standards. So if you built systems using APIs, you can connect them together easily, like you could connect a series of Lego blocks. And you've got to think about that in your systems that you're buying. You don't want to buy something which is an isolated product. You've got to be thinking about how that product could evolve and change. And this word, application programming interfaces, APIs, is the critical way that you do that.
I think, as you said earlier on, Peter, at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we're adaptable, because the only constant we're seeing here is change, and flexibility and modularity will allow us to do that.
But Matt, I think AI is here. I think I've been, as I said before, I've been in this industry 40 years. I think of the PC, I think of the internet, I think of mobile technology, and now I think of AI. These are all waves of transformation that will radically change the world in which we're living in. So it's not going away, but what does it demand, Matt?
A connected, agile, and ethical foundation at the end of the day. I think what we need to see here is top-down leadership when it comes to AI. So that direction needs to come from the top, but we then need to allow sort of, if you like, autonomy for our people to experiment and leverage AI, understand the benefits it can bring them. So we need top-down direction with bottom-up autonomy with guardrails, is what I would say.
Now, it's interesting, Matt. We've said this before. CEOs have got to own the change in the business. They can't delegate the technology strategy to somebody else to do it. They've got to own it. Now, I want to get the listeners here who are CEOs to think about owning it. We're not saying you've got to understand the nuances of individual pieces of technology, but you've got to have a vision for where the business is going. And that's what drives the people below that. That forms the digital strategy for the organization, how the organization operates, its processes, its functions, its services. That's what comprises a digital strategy.
Yeah, because ultimately AI is not just another tool. It's even not a business model shift. More than anything else, AI is a cultural shift in thinking and how we engage collectively with technology and indeed amongst ourselves. And that's why I say that it needs to be that top-down cultural direction in terms of how AI can actually help us.
Matt, we're not here to beat up on technology vendors, you know?
Oh, we could do a little bit of that, Peter. It doesn't hurt to keep them honest.
Matt, I think in this world you always need more friends than enemies. So I want to say though that I spent my career in technology, and what's really driven me through that career is I know technology can be a force for good in the world. I know it can transform the way we work. I know it can free us from activities and tasks that we see as drudgery. I recognize the potential of technology to create a world which is effective and efficient. But at the same time, to get there, we've got to start recognizing that technology isn't the plumbing in the background in a house, for example. This is strategic infrastructure. Just like roads or power or water, this is integral to the survival of any organization.
Yeah, and you use the evolution word there, Peter, as well. And I think that for many of us, we think about technology as revolutionary, but ultimately it's evolutionary. I think, sure, you get the game-changing technologies that come along, but ultimately we're iterating and evolving as we go along. And to do that, this means investing in platforms, people, and processes that can evolve, that are not locked down, they're not rigid in their approaches and thinking. This is where we come back to it being just like Lego. Build it once, reshape it as needed, I think is key here.
Matt, one of my favorite CIOs is a guy called Nigel Dorton. And he was the CIO at realestate.com.
Yep.
And he delivered a speech for me when I ran the Hindsight Forum. And he reminded the audience of Charles Darwin's advice on evolution. People think Darwin said it's survival of the fittest. But actually, what Darwin was saying, it's those who change the quickest, adapt the quickest, are the ones that survive. And the winners in the AI era won't be the ones who spend the most money on technology, but it's the ones who adapt their organizations the fastest to new ways of working that harness AI, that augment people's work with AI. That's going to be the successful ones.
Sage words as always, Mr. Hind.
So, Matt, we've come full circle. We started this series talking about the productivity stagnation, and now we're talking about flexible transformation. What's the one thing you want listeners to take away?
I think one thing is a bit of a stretch, Peter. At the end of the day, I'm gonna take 3 here, right?
Go on.
And the 3 things I'm going to suggest are: you need to connect your data, integrate your systems, align your people, and all of this needs to be encompassed in your ability to build for change.
Thanks for joining us with Boon or Bust. That completes our series on the digital transformation. But until next time, where we explore other aspects of this technology transformation that we're seeing in the world, keep it simple, keep it human, and keep moving forward with IT.
And watch out for those gobbledygook clangers, right?
That's
Thank
right.
you very much.